This is the story of another little boy, a small calamity named Chester. Chester was the spawn of two loving parents, Melon and Jello. His parents were such loving people. They both worked on the same place on a bright green hill a mile away from where they lived. They spent the day singing and breathing in harmony with each other. Everything Mel and Jello did was completely in sync. Chester was not like them at all. He wasn't always full of love. In fact, the only thing that Chester was full of was sorrow. Watching his parents act as happy as they did broke his little heart. They lived with a fluffy kitten named Poe, and Chester loved Poe. He couldn't help but smother the cat in his love, making the cat not want to ever be around Chester. Chester would squeeze Poe so hard and tell him he's the only one who understands. And Poe would meow. Poe would always see Chester and run away in fear of being squeezed too hard. Poe hated Chester, and this made Chester incredibly glum. Every day while his parents were away, he'd sit in his room where he found comfort. 2 o'clock would come around, and he would awake feeling a rumbling in his tummy. He woke up, got up, and opened his window to accept the inevitable. A helicopter flew into his room and landed on Chester's chest and stayed there, making it really hard for him to breathe. He tried to resist this for years, but the helicopter would always force his way into his room. By now he accepted it, and even knew the driver of the helicopter quite well. And while the helicopter rested, he could do nothing but lay there. And this is what he did, day after day. His parents sent him to a psychiatrist. Why can I not be like my parents? Why does everything make me feel so gloomy and alone? And how do I get rid of this helicopter? Why don't you try meditating? The psychiatrist said. And he did. Chester went on a hill, the same hill his parents worked on, and sat there in the green grass in complete silence. And he breathed. The ohms got lower and lower as the hummings got louder and louder. It was the helicopter. I can't take this anymore! Get this thing off of me! The sound of the helicopter was so loud that there was no concentrating on anything but the overwhelming sound of the hum. He ran down the hill and banged at the psychiatrist's door. You have got to help me! I can't get this thing off of me! Get this thing out of me! Okay, calm down. Calm down. Chester, she said, let's work through this thing together. We need to get the root of how all of this started. What is the earliest memory you can remember it? My first memory is of, and this is crawling. And at this point, Chester got down on his belly, and he crawled, using mostly his arms. He crawled around the office and crawled out the door. I can remember crawling, he said. And Chester crawled down the road between the grassy hills his parents worked on. And he kept crawling. And he crawled. And he crawled. And he crawled. and he crawled up the shores. He crawled through the rain and the snow. He crawled through the dirt, and he crawled through the mud. He dug his nails through the dirt as he crawled through the caves, and he crawled up the hills. He crawled over the Great Wall, and he crawled through Stonehenge. He crawled, and he crawled, and he crawled, and he crawled, and he crawled, until he stopped. As Chester dug each nail deeper and deeper into the earth, everything that was underneath heard his cause. The earthworms below felt his nails and his pain, and all arose from the middle of the earth. They slowly wiggled their way up through the tiny holes in the earth and marched themselves right behind Chester and covered him completely. Hundreds of pounds of earthworms were on top of Chester, and from the weight of the helicopter, he was used to this. The worms ate away the helicopter and dug deeper and deeper inside his brain. And one by one, they ate away all of his thoughts, biting and chewing every inch of his negative mind. Within a few minutes, they were done, and they sunk back in the earth. And Chester got on his feet for the first time and didn't feel any weight on his body. And he breathed, and he felt like he could breathe. And he thought of his parents and everything that came before. And he was able to finally let go.